Hey everyone, I just wanted to do a little brief video to talk about yes and no poems, ones that might have both. The poems I want to look at are actually both by Rosa Angelica Alonso. Um, I just reread the first one and I'm going to change my actually answer to a definite no. And I'm going to talk about why it's a definite no and why the second poem, How to Invoke La Llorona, is a yes. So let me go to the PDF. So this is the PDF or this is the poem, East LA Stories. I actually thought initially when I read this that only this page was the poem, but it's actually on two pages, which it's a little confusing the way that the PDFs are structured. So make sure that when you're reading the poetry packets, you're kind of looking for that. Um, that being said, we still need to read Poetry Packet 3, 5, and 6. Those packets have 0 reads right now. So those are a priority for packets that need to be read. And I'm going to do a video for prose once I find an example of a prose acceptance. But Prose Packet 5 and Prose Packet 4 need to be read. Those have 0 reads. And Prose Packet 5 is my mistake. I forgot to give it to you. Okay, so I just want to talk about what's going on in this poem. I actually thought that this part of the poem was really beautiful, and I really liked the voice and thought it was really strong. But once we get to this part of the poem feels pretty disconnected and doesn't actually pull the whole poem together. And that's really the main reason why I just changed my yes question mark to a definite no once I saw that it had a second page. I already felt that the poem wasn't fully wrapped up, but I especially feel that way now just looking at the second page, which feels like a completely different topic and poem to the first part of it. I do want to go back to the first part of the poem because I do think that it's really well done. Um, and I probably would want to reach out personally to this author because I love this first part of the poem and feel like it only needs a little more to be a solid poem. So I'm just going to read the first part. Uh, it says, East LA Stories. My brother lies at the back alley like a wounded dog, his stomach bruised, face blacker than burnt bread. Omar fills the apartment with weed smoke and devil's music, as Abuela likes to call it. On the couch, he rolls 2 joints. Abuela seasons the carne y pollo with pepper and patron, a taste so strong even cockroaches tremble. What you think of this, homegirl? Letty asks, pulling down her tights, showing me a hickey on her left thigh, jam thick red. You've outfucked yourself, I say. Who's the lucky vato this time? She smiles and tugs a rosary back out her shirt. It wraps loose around her neck, hooking tight around her heart. Whittier Boulevard is hit by a routine drive-by. My brother's scar is paler than the rest of him. It can almost melt his desert scalp. Omar lights another joint and passes it to me. A cloud of pot smoke puffs in sunlight. We hear Abuela's voice, a wave of pearls surge the creaking kitchen floor. Dale gracias a Dios for the good and let him take care of the bad, she says. You're good kids, mija. Besides, all the fregaderas you kids pull. I watch the tortillas bubble up before I take a bite. I make the sign of the cross over my face and chest, the way Mexicans are taught to do in church. It makes me think of the time Abuela called me to say she saw the Virgin Mary's tit, or whatever, poking out of her tortilla. She saved it for 2 weeks, never realizing that she believed what she believed was holy was really overbaked and partly burnt. She rolls the last of the masa on the comal, giving us each a plate, hoping we learn about miracles and angels, the good of praying to La Virgen de Guadalupe, even if that piece of heaven ends up in our bread. So I ended up reading the whole poem because it felt weird to stop in the middle. But I just want to talk about. I think that both pages are actually pretty good. I don't know that they're. I don't think that they're working together as a whole poem, and that's why I did end up changing my third read for the tiebreaker into a definite no. Um, I thought that this was really. I read this poem twice, and before I realized there was a second page. And I thought that this was really good. The rhythm is really different. And I think that this part of the poem really matches the East LA Stories parts because we're jumping around in the poem and it seems to be working pretty well with the idea that these are multiple stories from East LA. The part that was a little confusing for me was here, and this is the part, the Whittier Boulevard part. This is where I wanted to know more. I felt like the poem was hinting at the brother was hit in the drive-by, or if it's not, then I'm not sure what it's hinting at. But at the beginning of the poem, it does say that my brother lies at the back alley like a wounded dog, his stomach bruised, face blacker than burnt bread. And so I feel like there was a connection there and a story that this poem is trying to tell that didn't finish telling. That's why for me this is a no. And I might reach out to this writer because I did really love this poem and I'd like to see what it looks like when it's revised and the story is complete. The one that I said yes to, which had a yes and a no as well from the reads, is looking for it. Okay, is How to Invoke La Llorona. And this one I said yes to because I feel like the whole poem is clearly on one topic and trying to answer the question presented by the title, How to Invoke La Llorona. And I do think that by the end of the poem, it's still consistently a how-to list for how to do this. So sleepwalk along the sewers between Figueroa and First Street, where she was last heard. A coyote's howl coiled in moonlight. Light 3 velas besides the concrete. Reza de las tres santitas del barrio. La Santa Maldita, patron saint of bruises and hickeys, come forth. La Santa Cabrona, patron saint of mosh pits and broken noses, come forth. La Santa Malvada, patron saint of tattoos and skateboard wrecks, come forth. In the name of the mothers and the daughters and of the daughters and of the holy me, I call upon you, Llorona, luz obscura, luna llena, full moon, dark light. La más chingona de las chingonas, come forth. Smudge manzanilla, oil around your eyes, pinch a blue spider bite above the lashes. If that doesn't work, ride your skateboard to the corner liquor of Simmons Avenue, set offerings on an altar, 5 hand-rolled cigars, a bag of hot Cheetos, 1 cup of split ends of hair, a dozen claveless morados, y una onza de la mala vida. So again, I thought that this poem was much more complete, and I really liked the ending for it to end on that last line in Spanish, una onza de mala vida, which is to put on the offering 1 ounce of your bad life, or bad experiences. And I thought that was a clever way to end this poem. So again, this is just a difference between a poem that's fully telling one whole story and one that isn't, since we do still have 3 packets to read and not a whole lot of acceptances, just some stuff to think about. Thanks for watching.